Content warning. This episode contains discussion of child sexual abuse materials, sexual abuse, and the murder of 2 children. This episode also contains profanity.
Kegan Kline has been sentenced to 43 years in prison, with 3 years suspended, after pleading guilty to 25 charges surrounding catfishing children and an enormous cache of child sexual abuse materials.
The 29-year-old Indiana native has attracted international attention over the possible link between him and the Delphi murders. Let's stress that Klein has never been charged in connection with those murders. That being said, police began digging into him after they discovered he had been in contact with Liberty German through his Anthony Schatz social media accounts, in which he posed as an affluent teenage boy. In August 2020, he was arrested on charges related to child sexual abuse materials. At that time, he was interviewed about his possible connection to the Delphi case, as well as to the charges he ultimately faced in court.
This year, Klein pled guilty to the 25 charges. He was sentenced on July 27, 2023.
On July 29, 2023, we were able to speak with him concerning his thoughts about his sentencing, the Delphi connection, and more. He did not have too much to say about Delphi and stresses that he played no part whatsoever in the murders of Abby and Libby.
We should also note that we have reached out to Miami County Deputy Prosecutor Courtney Allwine. We plan to have a conversation with her in the coming weeks, and part of that will include fact-checking the claims Kegan Kline made in this episode. My name is Anya Kane. I'm a journalist.
And I'm Kevin Greenlee. I'm an attorney.
And this is The Murder Sheet.
We're a true crime podcast focused on original reporting, interviews, and deep dives into murder cases. We're The Murder Sheet.
And this is The Delphi Murders, a post-sentencing interview with Kegan Kline. Hey, Kegan.
Hey, Kegan.
Hey,
Good, how are you? We really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us today. I know this is probably a hard time for you given the sentence and everything, so we just wanted to say thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I didn't think I just got back in the block about an hour ago. I was hoping I didn't miss talking to you guys.
Oh, no, you're perfectly punctual, and can you hear us okay?
Yeah.
Sorry, we're kind of like hovering in front of microphones.
I guess just to get right to it, you said you'd had some information that might be related in some way to the Delphi case that you could tell us after the sentencing. So we're very curious about what you have.
Yeah, I mean, when I said that, I didn't really mean like information, but I wanted to like point out some things about the state police that, my lawyers didn't want me to even talk about until everything was over, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, just like the total harassment that they have. I mean, it's been insane.
He proceeded to criticize the level of interest the police showed in him over the Delphi case.
And then they came, I don't remember the date, last year sometime, I think in August or September, they came and took me to an Air Force base and talked to me. I had the Marshal Service here and everything. And, it was like, man, why are you guys continually talking to me about this? I mean, they know I didn't do anything. It would be different if I didn't have a phone, showing where I was, using the phone at that time. If I didn't give my DNA to them, I could see why they wouldn't leave someone alone. But they would not stop pounding me. And then they start searching the river in Peru. And it made it look like I said something to them to cause all that. And then all this upstir happened again. Oh, well, maybe he has something to do with this. Maybe, And the whole reason I don't know. It just really enraged me.
With the river search, looking back, was there anything specific that they may have been trying to corroborate from you? Even if you didn't say it like, oh, guys, look in the river. Would there have been something connected to you that they would have been looking for? Do you have any sense about that?
Well, they kept asking me, what do you think would have happened? I'm like, dude, how the fuck would I know what would have happened? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not even really into crime like shows or action movies or horror movies really. How would I know what the hell, you know what I mean? And I was like, well, search places like that, search a person's home, stuff like that. And it's like, God damn, it's ridiculous.
We want to interject here to note that we do not believe that the police did the river search based on an offhanded response to a hypothetical question.
And then they literally cut my whole communication with my dad. I can't call him. I can't text him. It's all blocked. I can't talk to any of my family members for the last year except my mother. And I know my dad talks to these podcasters and they like think that I'm like talking about my dad behind his back or I'm saying all this stuff about my dad, and it's ruined like my whole life because the state police would not let this Delphi stuff go.
We would like to add that it is our understanding that Tony Klein, Kegan's father, blocked him and that the police have not been behind that lack of communication.
And I get it's a huge deal. I'm not saying that it's not. They need to find who did that, which, Richard Allen has confessed. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But, it's like I get everyone in the world wants to find out who killed two innocent little kids. You know what I'm saying? And it's bullshit that they're going to keep coming after someone like me that they know I didn't do it. Every time I'm on the news, it's the Delphi. Boom, right after me. It's not about my case. It's right into me. And I mean, Richard goes to court and right afterwards it's me. Oh, well, this person has something to do with it. And it's like, what the fuck, man? And I know I'm not the first person that this has happened to. I know there was a guy in Colorado or something, and then a guy in, I think, southern Indiana, and it's just like, God damn.
You have like a sense of how that started and how they kind of got onto you at some point and like what that interest came from?
What the whole thing started was they said that the Anthony Schatz account had contacted Libby and was talking to her, which I know 100% it was not me. I'm not saying that I didn't make the account. I'm not saying any of that. But I know for a fact 1,000,000,000% it was not me talking to her. And that's why they came and raided the house, And they had all our conversations. I've seen all my conversations. You know what I mean? So it's like, I've seen all the conversations from everything. And then, I don't know.
Kegan was also critical of his attorneys. Also, keep in mind that when we refer to T, that is a reference to one of the victims cited in court in Kegan's case.
My lawyer sits there and my lawyer didn't even really do anything. He didn't defend me at all. I would have been better just literally doing it myself.
One of the things about T that they said in court was that she said at one time she saw you on FaceTime talking about a gangbang, and it was like people behind you. Is that true?
Right. Okay, so I've never FaceTimed her ever, never video chatted with her. I'm not going to say I wasn't her friend, which I was, and she was 17 at the time, not 16. And I told her everything that happened because she wanted to talk to me, and I told her, hey, I got raided for this. I mean, we started to be good friends, and I told her everything. And then when I got that, I think 2 months ago, her statement that she talked to them. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
We want to note here that we will be cutting out the name of Kegan's former girlfriend. We interviewed her in a past episode, and we'll link to that so you can learn more about her story.
I actually wasn't even the one. My girlfriend was the one that blocked her because she kept sending me naked pictures, which she was over 18 at the time. You know what I mean? She was in college. And I don't know. I don't know. Whether she was mad or not, I don't know. And then they bring up a conversation in my phone that I had with, which they never even checked if that was true either, about her being 12.
We want to pause here to clarify Kegan Kline's reference to the text conversation about his girlfriend being 12. In court, police said they found graphic text from him to his then-girlfriend where he described having a dream about having sex with her when she was 12. She was not 12 when she was dating him, to be clear.
I know, I didn't say that shit to her. Why would I text my girlfriend that I lived with her? You know what I mean? We lived together. Why would I text her that? I don't know. I ruined her life when I got arrested. All my, I know why she's mad at me, but they don't even check into if that's even true. You know what I mean?
I'm curious with one thing, and going back to what you said, not being in contact via Anthony Shots with Libby, but if that happened, it may have been someone else. And I'm curious with that. Is it a situation where did you see anything that did indicate that Anthony Shots and Liberty were in some kind of contact, or have you not even seen that?
Yeah, I mean, I have it said we followed each other on Instagram.
And any sort of communication. Any sort of okay.
I didn't see the actual messages, but it said we were in communication through that.
Kegan indicated that he believes someone else had the ability to log into and use the Anthony Shots accounts. Let us note, no one else has been charged in connection with the Anthony Shots account's illegal activity.
Understood. And do you have any thoughts on, and if you don't want to get into a lot of details, I understand, but do you have any thoughts on if somebody else may have had some sort of access to that?
Oh yeah, I know exactly who it was. The police know, but they don't want to say it in the court. They don't, I mean, I don't want to ruin the person's life and say it, but the police know who it was. I mean, I don't know if you guys can read the transcript. I don't know if that's out there or anything through our conversation. They say who it was. They say right in there, we know it wasn't you for a fact, 100%. You need to tell, I don't know. And I bring that up to my lawyer, to Andrew at the time, and he goes, well, the police can lie to you. I'm like, dude, they're not lying to me. You can tell when you talk to someone in person, you can tell if they're lying and bullshit to your face. Whether or not they do that as a job, you know what I mean?
Authorities in court, namely Indiana State Police Detective Dave Vito and Miami County Probation Officer Kathy Knight, stress that Kegan has a tendency to blame others for his actions.
It is important to emphasize their findings here, even though we do feel that everyone should have an opportunity to share their perspective. We are so grateful to our wonderful sponsor, Brilliant Earth. Brilliant Earth is all about gorgeous fine jewelry and a strong commitment to ethical business practices in the diamond industry.
As a married couple, Kevin and I understand how a special ring can serve as a token of love. And Brilliant Earth creates some of the most beautiful engagement rings and wedding bands out there to celebrate your unique love story. Check out their website and customize the ring that you and your partner will love forever. They have all sorts of wonderful styles, like elegant solitaires or free-spirited willows. But you can also completely customize your ring, imbuing it with your own personality.
No one wants to have their special wedding or engagement ring tainted by worries over unethical diamond sourcing. What really shines for us about Brilliant Earth is their commitment to ethical sourcing and sustainability. That level of focus is an absolute rarity in the jewelry business. It makes us feel like we're supporting a brand that really cares about making the world a better place.
Now, Brilliant Earth only works with beyond conflict-free diamonds. That means they exclusively work with partners who follow the strictest international labor, trade, and environmental standards. So you know that they are committed to ensuring safe working conditions and a spirit of sustainability.
Check out all of their beautiful pieces at brilliantearth.com. That's brilliantearth.com. This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp.
We're grateful for our wonderful sponsor, BetterHelp. Kevin and I are night owls, and we often take that to extremes. Even though we know getting plenty of rest is good for our minds and bodies, sometimes we have trouble settling down, and we'll end up staying up way too late as a result. Sometimes it feels like our restless minds are actively sabotaging us. We know what we have to do, but our brains are getting in their own way.
If you can relate to that, then consider this. Therapy can help us all learn positive coping skills, far more positive than staying up researching random stuff all night. Therapy can really help you figure stuff out, so your brain can work for you instead of against you. It helps you strive to become a better version of yourself.
We'd encourage any of our listeners thinking about trying out therapy to give BetterHelp a try. It's all online. Even if you're super busy, BetterHelp is totally convenient to your schedule. And it's easy to get started. Just fill out a quick questionnaire and get matched with a licensed therapist.
BetterHelp will help you find the best match. And you can switch therapists whenever you want for no additional charge.
Make your brain your friend with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/murdersheet today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/murdersheet.
Right. And one thing I'm curious about, we talked a bit about the river search, and there was a lot of speculation at the time, that you were trying to work out some sort of deal with over Delphi, almost saying what you knew in exchange for some sort of leniency or some sort of deal. Is that true, or is that? Yeah,
that's what they said, but no, that wasn't. I mean, even the prosecutor for Delphi, his name's blanking.
Nick McClelland.
Nick. He was there. He came to Griffin Air Force Base that day. I met him in person. And when I talked to them, the whole reason that I talked to them was because they were with a woman that I started contacting with in here, and she pretty much lied to me. I mean, I literally fell in love with her. She had her lawyer literally send me papers for marriage, to get married to her. I mean, I thought this was literally my fiance for the past year, and then I don't know. It's she said, "Hey, I'll bond you out." She came to the jail showed me the money on visit, because at the jail you can do the visit the same way through here. She showed me the money on the visit. "Hey, I'm going to bond you out right now, but I want you to tell everything, get everything out there." So I knew I didn't hold anything back, but I was like, you know what, I'm going to talk to them again, because maybe something I might, So yeah, I went and talked to them, and she never did, obviously.
People wonder if they said in court that sometimes you would try to get information about how to meet some of these girls. And some people have wondered if you would then give that information to other people so they could go meet the girls. Did you ever do anything like that?
No. And they said something about a few apps I use. I know I didn't use. I never heard of some of the apps that they use. One of them was, I can't remember. I think it was Yellow or something. I don't even know what the fuck the app was. I don't know. It was just so much misinformation that they said that's what the hell? And I kept, saying something to my lawyer during the whole time, and, are you going to say something to them? And he's like, yeah, we will. And then they didn't even, their defense was literally terrible. What? I don't know. Andrew, when we met, he showed me everything that was his defense. His stack was huge, that he was going to do a whole, I don't know, monologue, whatever you want to call it. I don't know the court term for it, but he was going to talk, my lawyer literally did nothing. He just sat there the whole time. I'm like, what the hell?
Do you regret letting Andrew go?
Oh, yeah, 1,000,000%. Because when they came here afterwards, they talked to me and they told me, hey, we're going to do this, do that. And I'm like, okay, that sounds great, yeah. And then Thursday, I'm like, what? And what the fuck? Yeah, Andrew would have been 1,000,000 times better than that.
In terms of the, things that came up in some of the transcripts that we've seen, interviews with you and Dave Vito and Deputy Clinton, one thing that came up was you possibly looking up DNA related inquiries, immediately after the Delphi murders while you're in Vegas. And I'm just curious, can you contextualize that or speak to whether that's true?
All of that was on a phone that wasn't even mine. There was 5 charges that were dropped.
Kegan Kline was initially charged with 30 counts. He ended up only charged with 25 counts. The 5 counts that were dropped, including 1 count related to the Samsung S5, were dismissed because prosecutors felt they could not be proven beyond a reasonable doubt. Our understanding is that this means that the images involved were not definitively of children under 18. During the sentencing, some of the experts who testified spoke about the difficulty of confirming the age of some of the people in these photographs because of the nature of the photographs. In short, a lot of those photographs were close-ups of specific body parts.
I found the phone. I don't know if that's in any of the records, but I found the phone in a rental car that my dad rented. So I was like, oh, Samsung Galaxy 5, it was not a new phone at the time, but it was a newer phone. I was like, oh, hell yeah. And yeah, all that stuff was on there, but I didn't even use the phone really in Vegas.
We wish to note that Indiana State Police Commander Christopher Cecil's in-court analysis of Kegan Kline's phones seems to contradict his claim about not owning that phone. The probable cause affidavit gets into the Samsung Galaxy S5. It says that the phone was named Klein Photography and had been factory reset on February 23, 2017, and that it did not have a password or PIN code. The PCA also mentions that it had various usernames and email addresses on it, but those are all redacted. Investigators recovered some chat messages from the device from apps like MeetMe, Facebook, and Snapchat. Messages from after the factory reset discussed sex work and meeting up with people in Las Vegas.
Right.
And then that day when we came back, we got raided literally. We went and got my dog out of the kennel and came home, and we got raided immediately after.
What was that experience like getting raided?
Oh, that was terrifying. We had an illegal immigrant Mexican guy that lived next door. So it was a really nice guy, but I knew he was illegal, you know what I mean? And these cars start coming, and they're obviously not marked. They're like Chevy Cruises and stuff. They're not marked, and they're coming everywhere. And then you see a huge van that's like a big box truck that says, you know, state police. I don't even know if it says state police on it. I don't know, but you could tell, like, oh, shit, it's the cops. And we're in the front room, and I'm like, man, I was like, dude, they're raiding the guy next door. The INS is here to raid the guy. And, you know, they're coming up with hoods all over their faces and assault rifles and coming into our house. And I'm like, whoa. So, yeah, I immediately grabbed my dog and took him in the bathroom because he's a pit bull. I didn't want him to get shot, you know, because you always hear about them shooting dogs, you know. And then they said that I tried to hide the phone in the microwave. I never hid the phone.
Kegan pled guilty to obstruction of justice charges that had to do with deleting apps off the Apple iPhone 5 phone that he turned in on February 27, 2017. Generally, Kegan Kline said he did not feel his lawyers pushed back enough on some of the accusations made in court during his sentencing. We will note that he had already pled guilty to everything at that point.
And I kept telling my lawyer, I'm like, well, are you going to give context to the conversation? And he goes, well, you're kind of splitting hairs there. I'm like, well, they're making me look to be this, like, weirdo fucking creep that is trying to, like, I don't know. It's crazy. I'm not saying what I did was right. I'm not saying that at all. You know, I don't want anyone to listen to this podcast and think that I'm, like, saying, hey, nothing I did was wrong. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying I'm not the person that they portrayed me to be in court. You know, I'm not someone that tries to lure people to hang out with them and try to rape them or whatever, you know what I mean?
How would you describe who you are and sort of maybe a more, in your view, fair version of who you are?
I mean, I like to stay at home and watch movies and play video games. You know, I'm a calm person. I don't do drugs. I don't drink. I smoke weed, you know what I mean? But I don't really consider that like a bad drug or nothing. But yeah, I mean, I'm a homebody. We hung out with her family and we'd hang out with my family, but we didn't really do nothing ever really crazy. I mean, we went on a few dates, you know, but I mean, it wasn't, I don't know. They portray me to be this like weirdo that's trying to like prey on all these people, and that's not what I was at all.
And I'm curious, you know, do you have any thoughts about how, you know, given that police were so focused on you with Delphi for a while, and obviously someone else has been arrested now, and, but just given that, and given some of the stuff that's come up with that and like possible communications between Anthony Schatz and Liberty, you know, do you have any thoughts on like how that, you know, like how do you think about that, the possibilities of why they're so focused and what those communications were and if what's going on here, basically?
I think it was because might have been the only person texting her at the time, that account. I don't know. I'm not sure. Because I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I've even asked them that myself, and they aren't, you know, they obviously don't answer my questions when I ask them. Then they put me on the news, and it's like, and then it just snowballs, and everyone making up their own little rabbit holes everywhere and thinking, you know, oh, he is this person. It's like, what the fuck?
Do you think it's possible that Anthony Schatz did ask her to meet up that day? And you know, you're saying it wasn't you, but do you think that is a possibility?
Yeah, because they said that account asked someone, I think it was Logansport, a girl in Logansport, the same thing a few months prior. It's crazy.
And do you have a sense of how that would have happened?
What was them asking?
Well, yeah, like
The
like
person that used,
yeah.
let's just say the person that used the account I know has had sex with minors before.
Kegan told us that he didn't want to talk in detail about the person he suspected.
Are you going to appeal your sentence?
Yeah, 1,000,000%. Yeah.
Do you have any idea if the person who may have been using your account had any relationship with Richard Allen?
I don't know. People have texted me, but it's just people saying this, so I don't know if any of it's true. I can't look up, but they said the guy lived in Mexico or Peru for years, and they said he lived on 2nd Street, I believe. The person, has a lot of friends on 2nd Street. I'm not sure, But people were asking me, I think they said he worked at the CVS in Peru in 2004. And I'm like, dude, I was 9 or 10 years old. Why would I know an old man? Like, what are you talking about?
There were a few things that we cut out of our interview with Kegan Kline. We don't feel comfortable running certain things without reporting them out first, so we have more work to do before we can publish certain elements.
So where does Kegan Kline fit into the Delphi case? Well, Detective Vito, Commander Cecil, and Kline himself have made it clear that his contact with underage girls was uncovered during the investigation into the Delphi murders. The investigation into Kline flowed directly from the work done by detectives in that double homicide case, starting in February 2017. For a time at least, detectives with the Delphi investigation were very interested in how Kline may have fit into the killings. That being said, he was only charged with crimes associated with catfishing and CSAM, not murder. Kegan pled guilty and was sentenced based on those crimes, not anything directly related to Delphi.
On the murder sheet, we prefer to emphasize just the facts. It's not for us to tell you what to think or come to premature conclusions about anyone's guilt or innocence.
We find it interesting that Anthony Schatz may have been in contact with Liberty German before her death. We also find it interesting that authorities stated in court that Kegan Kline's alias accounts frequently asked underage girls for their locations, and that witnesses at the trails said that Bridge Guy strode directly to the Monon High Bridge on the day of the murders.
Now, despite his guilty pleas, Kegan Kline continues to say that some of the activity on his devices was not his doing. And Richard Allen remains the only person charged in connection with the Delphi murders. That last fact is very significant. There's no reason to believe Carroll County Prosecutor Nick McClelland would delay charging anyone else in this case if he believed he had enough evidence to convict that person. We should also state that coincidences can happen.
Either way, it's a lot to think about.
Thanks so much for listening to The Murder Sheet. If you have a tip concerning one of the cases we cover, please email us at murdersheet@gmail.com. If you have actionable information about an unsolved crime, please report it to the appropriate authorities.
If you're interested in joining our Patreon, that's available at www.patreon.com/murdersheet. If you want to tip us a bit of money for records requests, you can do so at www.buymeacoffee.com/murdersheet. We very much appreciate any support.
Special thanks to Kevin Tyler Greenlee, who composed the music for The Murder Sheet, and who you can find on the web at kevintg.com.
If you're looking to talk with other listeners about a case we've covered, you can join the Murder Sheet discussion group on Facebook. We mostly focus our time on research and reporting, so we're not on social media much. We do try to check our email account, but we ask for patience as we often receive a lot of messages. Thanks again for listening.